Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where today we wish a very happy posthumous birthday to one of the finest to ever do it, Johnny Guitar Watson. Now, Johnny Guitar Watson began his recorded career in the 50s, where he was playing a sort of blues, heavily blues-based R&B music. But the stuff that really turned me on to him was his ultra funky stuff in the 60s and 70s. Now, there's good funk and there's bad funk, and this is bad. And for those who might be listening to this in the Shenzhen province on a translator app, when we say bad in this context, we mean really good. There was something about his funk that was just so earthy and so real, but still virtuosic. He was an amazing and amazingly original guitar player as well. He had it all. He had that voice that was so distinct, a voice made for the funk and blues in equal measure. And he was someone, frankly, that was. Up until his death on stage in Japan in the 90s, he was something of an ageless wonder. He transitioned almost seamlessly from the gritty bluesy sound that he was pioneering in the early 50s to the pimped out, look at that beautiful rose, that pimped out sound of the 70s. And all the while, he was someone who was instrumental in the music of Frank Zappa, because whenever Zappa was asked to name his influences, he would generally name in the classical world people like Edgar Varese, people like Anton Webern, and people like Igor Stravinsky. And in the sort of blues and R&B world, he would name Johnny Guitar Watson, Guitar Slim, and Johnny Guitar Watson, Guitar Slim, and I'm having one of those moments. It will come to me. But Johnny Guitar Watson was probably more than any of them implicitly sort of related to Zappa's life because he played on Zappa albums. He went out on stage with Zappa. He did the vocals to In France, a great Zappa song that is possibly more relevant today than ever. But Zappa loved working with him on various albums, and he seemed to really have a good time working with Zappa. And so that was a really interesting connection. Now, the other interesting thing is whenever people expected Zappa to talk about his heroes outside of the classical world, people expected him to talk about sort of really progressive and out there people. But the music in the sort of blues and R&B world he liked was the stuff that was really sort of straightforward, pioneering in its originality, straightforward in its presentation, and virtuosic in its playing quality, and somewhat universal in its appeal. It's kind of hard to listen to a Johnny Guitar Watson album and not be moved. It's music that's impossible not to like. And Zappa was entirely sincere. He liked blues, he liked doo-wop, he liked the kind of genuine soul music of Johnny Guitar Watson. He didn't like the more commercialized soul music, and even said in the 80s that soul is beginning to sound like, in Zappa's words, white people music. But Johnny Guitar Watson always sounded like him, whether the wah wah pedal and the funk stuff was going on or the earlier blues stuff. Luckily, almost all of his recorded output is on the streaming platforms, so you should definitely check it out, especially the 70s and early 80s stuff. That to me is when he hit such an interesting and fun musical stride. So definitely check that out, and you will not be disappointed. As always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.